Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. We've heard this afternoon from the government side from some of the very competent blue-green ministers and MPs that represent the National Party in this Parliament, and it's been a delight to hear from the Minister for the Environment, the Honourable Nick Smith, from the Minister of Conservation, Maggie Barry, and from the Associate Minister, Nikki Wagner, because they have been setting out, along with Jackie Dean and others that will follow me, exactly what it is to be a blue-green in the National Party in this John Key-led government. A party that has done more for the environment in its term of government than any previous administration in the history of New Zealand. And I'm very, very proud to be part of that government that is making such wonderful preservation steps, conservation steps on behalf of our precious environment. Sir, I have the great privilege of representing the Coromandel electorate. It is by far and away the most beautiful part of New Zealand. It represents the most environmentally precious 4,500 square kilometres of New Zealand, and it's a great privilege to represent the Coromandel in this Parliament. But I do so, sir, safe in the knowledge that as a National Party MP, I understand completely the benefits that come from our blue-green approach, which means that looking after the environment, looking after conservation, looking after our precious natural heritage goes hand in hand, sir, with careful, prudent management of our economy. The two are not mutually exclusive, as the Greens would have you believe. Sir, I'm very proud that the announcement only a week or two ago of the Kermadec Ocean Sanctuary is one that my grandchildren and great-grandchildren yet born will say that was a great decision made by this Parliament, by this John Key government. So this afternoon we have had released this very good report. It's the first that has been produced in the spirit of the new Environmental Reporting Act, and it's the Environment Aotearoa Report 2015. So it's the first report of its sort that has been produced since 2007. And already Labor's current environment spokesman, Dr Megan Wood, has been quick to launch into the media saying it's a disturbing read, sir. But what about Labor's history of reporting on our environment? Well, you'd have to go back to the last report that occurred and was released in 2007. And I want to take the House back, Mr Speaker, to the great Chapter 13 scandal of 2008. And for people listening, they'll remember that one Trevor Mallard was the Minister for the Environment in the dying days of the Labor administration. And a report was released on the environment, and what happened, sir, was that a whole chapter was simply deleted. Chapter 13 was simply removed. And why was it removed? It was removed quite simply because it reported some bad news about our environment, some bad news about our water quality. And rather than confront the issues and approach it on a sensible, transparent way, Labor and the then Minister for the Environment, the Honourable Trevor Mallard, simply chose to delete Chapter 13 from the report. Well, fortunately, the Greens were in receipt of a leaked copy of Chapter 13, and they made it available to the public of New Zealand to see and to be viewed and to be cleansed by the spotlight of daylight, Mr Speaker. And so Labor's attempt to simply ignore and hide the truth about some of our more difficult, challenging areas in our environment simply didn't work, and that was their instinctive approach. I've thought for some time, Mr Speaker, that it's been very obvious that Labor have had a string of lightweight environment spokespeople, and part of the reason they've had that string of lightweight environment spokespeople is simply because they know that it's not worth a Labor member investing time in conservation or the environment, because they know that if they were to do so, they would have to trade it off for a Green Party member who will almost certainly become Conservation Minister and Environment Minister in a Labor Green government. And that surely would be a horrible thought for any aspiring Labor Justin Trudeau type personality who might want to make a name for themselves, like Stuart Nash, for instance, who might want to make a name for themselves in conservation or the environment. Sir, I'm very proud of the work that this government, that these ministers have been doing to protect, enhance and secure the long-term future of our very precious environment. This is a great blue-green initiative government, and Nick Smith and Maggie Barry and Nikki Wagner are doing a great job.